Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more relationship stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, all really helps out the channel. Truly, thank you so much, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now, today's first story is titled, My 17 female best friend, 17 female, is dating my brother, 16 male. I'm worried it will end badly, and I don't know what to do. I recently found myself in a bit of a predicament and need an outsider's perspective. My brother has started dating my best friend and I'm not sure how I feel about it. At first I was excited for them. My brother has not really had many girlfriends and my friend has been crushing on him for a while now. I thought it was sweet that they were finally giving it a shot, but as time went on, I began to have concerns. I started to notice little things that bothered me. My brother seemed more distant from me than usual. He was spending all his free time with my friend, and I was worried that he was neglecting his family and friends. He seemed to be totally besotted with my best friend and would do anything for her. My friend, who was far more experienced than my brother, seemed to enjoy parading him around like a little puppy and getting him to do whatever she wanted. It's fair to say she was more preoccupied with my brother than anything else, and I felt like I was losing both of them. I tried to talk to my brother about it, but he brushed me off. He said that he was happy and that I should be happy for him too. But I couldn't shake the feeling that this relationship was going to end badly. I decided to talk to my friend about it instead. I expressed my concerns and asked if she had thought about the possible consequences of dating my brother. She seemed taken aback at first, but then she told me she had thought about it and she was willing to take the risk. I didn't know what to do. On the one hand, I wanted my brother and my friend to be happy. On the other hand, I didn't want to see them hurt each other, or worse, hurt themselves. Now, I can kind of get, being concerned about things ending badly, especially with two people, your best friend and your brother, two people that you love very much, and wondering about if the relationship doesn't work out, what happens then, etc, etc. But in the end, I have to say, it's not your place. I think if they're happy with everything at the moment and everything's fine, you should be supportive of that and try to support the both of them. Otherwise, you're going to just push yourself away from them further, which I'm sure you wouldn't want. I personally don't see anything wrong with expressing, as long as you're not doing it in a manipulative or trying to guilt trip them kind of way, expressing your worries about them distancing themselves, and you wouldn't want that to happen as your friends. But at the same time, you have to realize that life moves in all sorts of different directions, and who knows what path you're going to be taking in the future. When you find yourself in a relationship, you might find yourself distancing from your friends. Who knows? But in the comments, someone says, after reading through your post, it seems to me that your concerns might be stemming from a place of jealousy. You mentioned feeling like you're losing your best friend and your brother is neglecting your family. But have you considered that maybe you're just feeling left out? It's natural to feel a little envious when someone you're close to starts a new relationship, especially if it's someone you care about as well. I think it's important to take a step back and examine your own feelings before expressing too much concern for your brother and friend. Maybe you just need some time to adjust to this new dynamic, and that's okay. Next one says, it's concerning to hear that your best friend is willing to risk a long-term relationship for a boy. If she truly values your friendship, she should be more considerate of your feelings and the potential consequences of dating your brother. It's understandable to have feelings for someone, but is it worth sacrificing a close friendship over? If your friend is willing to put a guy before your friendship, it's worth questioning if she's really a great friend you thought she was. Perhaps it's time to have a serious conversation with her about what this relationship means for your friendship and what boundaries need to be established to ensure that it doesn't come at the cost of your relationship. Next one says, I understand your concerns, but I don't think it's fair to dismiss OP feelings as jealousy. It's natural to have some reservations when a close friend and family member start dating, especially if there's a possibility of it negatively impacting your relationship with both of them. Instead of jumping to conclusions, it would be more helpful to address the OP specific concerns and try to understand where she's coming from. Jealousy may be a factor, but it's not the only one, and it's important to approach the situation with empathy and an open mind. Another one says, I'm curious about what exactly the sister is concerned about. What does she think might happen if her brother and best friend start dating? Is she worried that it will change their dynamic as a family? Is she concerned about how it will affect their relationship with her best friend, or is it something else entirely? It's important to pinpoint the specific concerns so they can be addressed and hopefully resolved. Without a clear understanding Of what the sister is worried about, it's hard to offer any concrete advice or support. OP responded to that one and said, "One of my biggest concerns is that my friend has a history of using boys just to gain attention and create drama in her life. She can be a little manipulative and twist the truth at times to make herself look better. I worry that if things don't go the way she wants them to in this relationship, she might use my brother as a way to create more drama and get the attention she craves. Additionally, my friend has far more experience in relationships than my brother, and I worry she might take advantage of that and manipulate him into doing things he's not comfortable with. It's not that I don't want my brother to be happy, but I just want to make sure he's aware of things and goes into the relationship with his eyes open." The commenter says, "Do you have any other friends in the same group as you and your best friend? What do they think about them dating?" OP responds and says, "I've talked to a few of our mutual friends, and while some of them seem excited about the idea of my brother and my best friend dating, others share the same concerns that I do. I think it's a bit of a mixed bag, to be honest. Some of our friends are more familiar with my best friend's past relationships and might be worried about the potential for drama, while others might just see it as a cute, fun thing. Regardless, I don't want to make it seem like I'm trying to control my brother's or my best friend's love lives. I just want to make sure that they're both aware of the potential pitfalls and go into the relationship with open eyes." So OP adds an update and says, "Hey everyone, it's been a few months since I posted about my brother dating my best friend, so I wanted to give you all an update. In the end, I decided to step back and let them figure it out for themselves. Not my place to control their lives, and they're both adults who can make their own decisions. I just hope they know what they're getting themselves into and that they can handle the consequences, whatever they may be. I come to accept the situation and let them get on with things. I've realized that it's not my place to control their relationship or interfere, so I've tried my best to support them and not let it bother me too much. Of course, there are still some awkward moments here and there, but overall, things seem to be going well for them. Thanks to everyone who offered their advice and support, and when I was struggling with this situation, it means a lot to me." OP adds an update and says, "Unfortunately, things have taken a turn for the worse. Last night, I went to a party without my brother. My best friend was there. Things were going fine until my friend started flirting with another guy at the party. I had to watch them all night, and it made me feel sick. I tried to talk to my friend about it, but she just brushed it off and told me to chill out. Later in the night, I saw my friend and this guy disappear into an empty bedroom. I'm pretty sure they slept together. Even if they didn't have sex, it's still incredibly inappropriate given that she's dating my brother. I'm really upset and don't know what to do next. Any advice would be appreciated." So there were some questions on this one, of course, and one of the comments said, "Have you asked your friend directly if she slept with this guy?" OP says, "No. I haven't asked my friend directly if she slept with the guy at the party. I feel like it's not really my place to ask, and I don't want to come across as accusatory or confrontational. At the same time though, I can't shake the feeling that something happened between them. Possible that I'm overreacting, but it just seemed really inappropriate given the circumstances. I'm not sure what to do next." The commenter says, "I completely disagree with you, OP. As the sister, it is absolutely your place to ask your friend directly if she slept with that guy at the party. You have a right to look out for the best interests of your brother and ensure that he's not being taken advantage of or hurt by this situation. It's also important to remember that you have a long-standing friendship with this girl and you need to know the truth in order to move forward in your relationship with her. While it may be uncomfortable or difficult to bring up, I think it's crucial that you talk to your friend about what happened and express your concerns." A commenter says, "Let them get on with it. It is never a good idea to get involved in situations like this. You tried to warn your brother in the beginning and he didn't listen. If you say anything, it will simply be a case of blame the messenger. My advice would be to stay out of it." OP responds to that and says, "I understand where you're coming from and I appreciate your perspective. I agree that sometimes it's best to let people make their own decisions and not get too involved in their personal lives. However, in this case, I feel like I have a responsibility to look out for my brother's well-being and ensure that he's not being hurt or taken advantage of by my friend. I also value my relationship with her and want to maintain an open and honest relationship. It's definitely a tricky situation, and I appreciate all the different viewpoints that people have offered." Someone says, "I can't believe what I'm reading. Your best friend slept with another guy while she's dating your brother. It's disgusting. I can't believe she would do something like that to you and your brother. How could she be so selfish and thoughtless? I think you need to have a serious talk with her and reconsider your friendship. If she's willing to betray your trust and hurt your brother like this, who knows what else she's capable of. I'm sorry you have to deal with this, and I hope things get better for you and your family soon. OP responds and says, I did try to talk to my best friend about what happened at the party, but unfortunately, she just brushed it off and told me that nothing really happened between her and that guy. She said that it was just some harmless flirting, and that I was taking things way too seriously. But the thing is, I saw them disappearing into an empty room together, and they were very touchy-feely with each other all night. I don't want to jump to conclusions or assume the worst, but I just can't shake the feeling that something inappropriate happened. It's really frustrating that my friend won't take my concerns seriously and seems to be dismissing my feelings. OP continues with an update and says, Hey there, I wanted to provide an update on the situation. I did try to talk to my brother about what happened at the party, but it seems that my best friend got to him first. My brother thinks that I'm just jealous and trying to break them up. My best friend must have told him a completely different story about what happened that night. She made out that I was really drunk and had wrongly accused her of sleeping with a guy at the party. She also said that the guy and her had tried to help me by stopping me from driving home while under the influence. This is simply not true. I hadn't been drinking that evening as I was a designated driver. I did try to leave the party because I was upset, but my best friend stopped me because she thought I was overreacting. It's really frustrating that my best friend is twisting the truth to make me look bad and that my brother is taking her side. I don't know how to make him see what's really going on. A comment on that one says, it sounds like OP has done everything she can to try and protect her brother from potentially getting hurt. Unfortunately, it seems like he's really into the best friend and isn't interested in hearing any negative opinions about her. At this point, there might not be much OP can do except to just be there for her brother if things don't work out with a best friend. It's always hard to see someone we care about potentially get hurt, but sometimes we just have to let them make their own mistakes and learn from them. There's an update to this post then. It says, Hey guys, it's been a while since I updated you on what's been happening with my brother and my former best friend. Well, as you predicted, the relationship eventually fizzled out. My best friend got bored of my brother and kept making excuses not to see him until he got fed up of chasing. It's been really tough for my brother. He's been drinking more and seems really down. I just hope he will eventually get over it and move on. I'm still angry with my best friend for treating my brother this way and damaging the relationship between us. We're not as close as we once were, and I'm not sure if we'll ever be close again. We still hang out in the same social circles, but it's not the same. I feel really betrayed and disrespected by her. Anyway, I just wanted to update you guys and say thanks for all the support and advice you've given me throughout this whole mess. It's been really tough, but I'm getting through it. OP updates a year later and says, Hey everyone, it's been a year since my last update and things have gotten really crazy. As it turns out, my best friend was actually pregnant and didn't tell anyone until she was 8 months along. My brother knew, but he was too scared to tell our family and asked me to break the news to them. It was a shock, but our parents said they would support him and be there for him and the baby. My brother and his girlfriend got back together and even got engaged, but things took a turn for the worse after the baby was born. The girlfriend started making excuses for why my brother couldn't see the baby and would constantly put him down, saying he would be a bad father. It got to the point where my brother just gave up trying to see the baby, even though he continued to pay child support. Whenever someone suggested that he tried to see the baby, he would just say the baby was better off without him. It's been really hard to watch him go through this. I still visit my friend and the baby, but it's becoming harder and harder to listen to her complain about my brother and how he's not good enough. I'm at the point where I feel like I have to choose between my friend and my brother. If I choose my brother, I'll most likely lose a lot of our mutual friends and lose contact with the baby. I don't know what to do, and I could use some advice. Obviously, people come in and give advice, and someone says, it's a tough situation you're in. My advice would be to prioritize your own mental health and well-being. It sounds like your friend has been very manipulative and abusive towards your brother. It's not fair you have to constantly listen to her complaints about him. As for the baby, it's important for your brother to have a relationship with his child, but it's not your responsibility to maintain that relationship for him. If you do choose to distance yourself from your friend, you may lose other friends in the process. But true friends will understand and support you regardless. Ultimately, you have to do what's best for yourself and your own happiness. Another commenter says, it's understandable that you're feeling torn between your loyalty to your brother and your friendship with a best friend. However, it's important to remember that your brother is family and he needs your support right now. You can still be supportive of your friend, but you need to make it clear that you won't tolerate any more manipulation or emotional abuse towards your brother. It might be a good idea to have an honest conversation with your friend and let her know her behavior is affecting you and your relationship with your brother. If she's unwilling to listen or make any changes, then it might be time to distance yourself from her and prioritize your relationship with your brother. Remember, family comes first. A commenter says, OP, you need to prioritize your own well-being and the well-being of your brother. You should distance yourself from this toxic friend and focus on building a strong support system with people who genuinely care for you and your family. And there's one final update which says, I just wanted to give you an update on my situation. After a lot of thought and consideration, I've decided to go no contact with my former best friend. Well, it's been a difficult decision. I know it's the right one for my mental health and for my relationship with my brother. I'll miss my niece growing up, but I just can't continue to subject myself to the emotional abuse and manipulation from my former friend. Some of my other friends have been understanding, but others have taken her side and believe the lies she's been spreading about my brother. It's been a tough road, but I'm ready to move on with my life. I'm actually moving to a new town soon, and I'm excited to make new friends and start fresh. Thanks to everyone for their support and advice throughout this journey. I decided to invite my friend out for a few drinks to tell her my decision and my reasons behind it. I didn't want to just ghost her without ever explaining. Well, my best friend did not take the news well and lashed out at me, accusing me of choosing my brother over her and my niece. Since then, she began spreading rumors and lies about me to our mutual friends, causing further tension in the group. She told me that I was trying to help my brother take her baby away from her and had accused her of being an unfit mother. Unfortunately, several of my friends have bought into this and are no longer speaking to me. Despite this, I've stuck to my decision and I'm trying hard to focus on my own well-being and that of my family. I hope that in time, the truth will come out and my former friends will realize that I was caught up in an impossible situation and had no choice but to break contact. Thanks to everyone on here Reddit, I can see that my relationship with this girl was utterly toxic and quite possibly always was. I know I'm better off without her. I feel very sad that I will not get to see my niece grow up and that my brother will miss too. But for both our sakes, to protect our mental health, this is the only way. Some people have suggested that I could try to reconnect with my niece in the future. Well, this is what my heart wants. Something tells me that I need to prioritize my own well-being and move on from the situation entirely. Thank you to everyone for your input. I feel like I have made the best decision for me and my family. I'm looking forward to starting a new chapter in my life. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. Now, this one's a bit of neighbor-related drama. You know what I'm like with this kind of stuff, so I couldn't help but get myself involved. The title is intriguing in itself. The mystery of the head-shaped car door tent. Help Reddit. What should I do? I'm in need of some serious advice and guidance here. You won't believe what happened to my neighbors the other night. They can be like naughty teenagers sometimes, getting drunk, smoking weed, and engaging in nonsensical conversations in their garden. My husband and I have been subjected to many amusing, if not slightly disturbing evenings listening to their inane ramblings, but this time their antics have gone too far. It all went down a few nights ago when my husband and I were sound asleep. It was really late, past midnight, when we were abruptly awakened by the rowdy commotion outside. Turns out, our neighbors had returned from the local pub in a seriously inebriated state. They stumbled and staggered like a scene straight out of a slapstick comedy as they attempted to navigate their way to the front door. Now, bearing in mind their age, my husband and I were slightly concerned and were checking if they were okay from the bedroom window, which overlooks the front of the house. Fair enough. We were also highly amused at the time by their total inability to walk straight or even stand. The gravel in their front garden became their nemesis, and they kept tripping and falling over, leaving chaos in their wake. My neighbors have a lot of random ornaments and pot plants in their front garden, and these were bearing the brunt of the drunken stumbles. In the process, they managed to knock over their bird bath, which crashed onto the ground with a loud thud, water splashing all over the giggling pair. My husband and I were beginning to think we needed to go out and help them get inside, but that wasn't the end of it. Oh no. To my horror, the man lost his footing entirely and careened straight into my parked car. His head collided with the car door, resulting in a loud torrent of abuse, presumably directed at my car, and him stumbling back in a rather dazed state, clutching his head. Despite his injuries, he managed to regain his composure and, with his partner's assistance, weaved their way into the house, completely oblivious to the destruction they had caused. Pot plants, a bird bath, gnomes, and fairy lights left scattered in their wake. In the morning, feeling neighborly and rather sympathetic to the humongous hangover the two of them must have been feeling at this stage, I set out to tidy up some of the carnage. I figured when the neighbors had recovered, they would feel rather embarrassed and apologetic and be grateful that we had seen the humor in the situation and tried to be helpful. It was then that I discovered the grievous damage to my car, and all the humor vanished. I was livid. There was a huge head-shaped dent in the door. I wasted no time marching over to their front door, fueled by a mixture of frustration and indignation. I confronted my neighbor, who looked like he just dragged himself from the pit of hell, explained what had happened, and presented the evidence: the unmistakable head-shaped dent. But to my dismay, he claimed he had no recollection of the previous night's events. He looked genuinely bewildered, as if a blackout had erased his memory, or the impact he suffered with my car door. I was at a loss for words. How could he not remember something so impactful, literally? Now here's where I need your help, dear Redditors. What on earth should I do in this baffling situation? Is there any way to prove that my neighbor was indeed responsible for the dent, or am I left with a frustrating mystery that may never be solved? Have any of you encountered a similar scenario, and if so, how did you handle it? I'm open to suggestions, legal advice, and even creative revenge plots. Okay, maybe not the last one, but you get the idea. Your collective wisdom and experiences are my lifeline here, so please, Reddit, come to the rescue. So, there was some comments on this one, and one of them said, "That's wild, but definitely a tricky situation you're dealing with. If your neighbor genuinely doesn't remember anything, it might be tough to hold him accountable without solid proof. My suggestion would be to gather any evidence you can find, like security camera footage or witnesses who may have seen the incident. Take pictures of the dent and document any other relevant details. It might be also worth contacting your insurance company to see if they can assist in resolving the issue. Ultimately, communication is key. Have a calm and honest conversation with your neighbor, expressing your concerns and the impact this incident has had on you. Hopefully you can come to a resolution or reach an agreement on how to address the dent and prevent similar incidents in the future. Good luck, and remember to keep your cool throughout the process." Next one says, "This story is pure gold." Lol. I can't help but crack up imagining your mischievous neighbors stumbling around like rowdy teenagers. The image of the guy falling into your car and leaving a head-shaped dent is just too hilarious. I mean, who needs sitcoms when you got real-life sitcom neighbors like these? I would have been peeping on them too. While I understand the frustrations of dealing with the aftermath, I have to admit, this is kinda ridiculous. You sure you aren't making this shit up? Thanks for sharing this laugh out loud moment with us, OP. Another one says, "Hey OP, sorry to hear about your car door dent, but don't lose hope just yet. One potential avenue for gathering evidence could be reaching out to your neighbors on the street. Ask around if anyone has a Ring doorbell or any other security cameras that may have captured the incident. You'll be surprised how many folks have these nowadays, and their footage could be the key to solving this mystery. Make a friendly post on the neighborhood social media group or knock on doors to see if anyone could provide you with some footage from that night. With a bit of luck, you might find a good Samaritan who caught the whole thing on camera and can help you identify the culprit. It's definitely worth a shot, so give it a try and keep us updated. Good luck, OP." Another commenter says, "I'm a bit puzzled here. If your neighbors were making such a ruckus, stumbling and knocking things over, why didn't you or your husband go out to check on your car door when it happened? I mean, it seems like the logical thing to do, especially if you're already awake due to the noise they were making. It could have saved you a lot of trouble if you caught them in the act, or at least assessed the situation right then and there. I understand hindsight is 20/20, but it's something to consider for future reference. Nevertheless, I hope you find a resolution to this car door dent mystery soon. Keep us posted." OP says, "Hey, I appreciate your question and concern. To clarify, when the incident occurred, my husband and I were startled awake by the noise outside. It was quite late at night, and in the grogginess of just waking up, we were more focused on trying to understand what was happening rather than immediately going outside to check on the car. Additionally, given that our neighbors were clearly intoxicated and struggling to maintain their balance, we didn't want to insert ourselves into a potentially unsafe or confrontational situation. Our priority was to ensure our own safety and let them make their way inside the house without further incident. Plus, we didn't actually think it was possible to create a dent in a car door with a human head. Unfortunately, it was only in the morning we discovered how hard he must have collided with the door. I'm surprised the guy doesn't have a severe concussion." Someone says, "I get why you didn't go out to check on your car door during the chaotic incident, considering the circumstances. Drunk people are always very unpredictable in my experience, and your safety was a priority. why not take a proactive approach and knock on a few other neighbors' doors to see if anyone else witnessed what happened? It's possible that someone else might have been awake or heard the commotion and could provide valuable information. They might have seen your neighbors stumbling and falling, or even observed the moment of impact with your car door. Gathering eyewitness accounts can strengthen your case and provide some much needed clarity. So grab your detective hat, knock on these doors, and see if you can uncover any additional details to support your story. Best of luck, OP. One more question from a commenter who says, "Brilliant story, OP. Thanks for sharing. I'm just curious, does this kind of wild behavior happen often with your neighbors, or is it an isolated incident?" OP says, "Honestly, this is the first time we've experienced such chaos from our neighbors upon their return from the local pub. It can be a bit rowdy at times, but usually it's just harmless chatter in their garden or the occasional laughter. The incident took their naughty teenager persona to a whole new level. So to answer your question, this kind of over-the-top behavior seems to be an exception rather than the norm. Hopefully it remains a one-time occurrence for the sake of our sanity and car doors." So OP does give an update to this one and says, "Hello fellow Redditors, I've got an exciting update to share on the head-shaped car door dent saga. Prepare for some justice and resolution. After my last post inspired by a fellow Redditor's suggestion, I decided to knock on my neighbor's doors in search of any witnesses. To my surprise, one of our neighbors happened to have a Ring doorbell, capturing the entire crazy incident in all its glory. Talk about a stroke of luck. Armed with the newfound evidence, I mustered up the courage to approach the neighbor responsible for the dent. Although reluctant at first, he had no choice but to face the undeniable truth once confronted with the footage. It was clear as day. He stumbled and subsequent head-on collision with my car door. In a classic "I can't believe I did that" moment, he admitted to the mishap and acknowledged that he had caused the dent. However, true to his earlier claims, he still maintained he had no recollection of the incident. Frankly, the memory loss didn't surprise me given the impact and the level of alcohol that must have been involved. Nevertheless, it was a relief to finally have him acknowledge his responsibility, and to his credit, he agreed to pay for the repairs to the car door. The next step is getting my car door fixed. I look forward to explaining this one to the repair garage. LOL. OP continued in a separate update and says, "Many of you were concerned that I was getting my car door fixed, just on the say-so of my neighbor that he would pay. Thanks to those of you who reached out to offer further advice, suggesting I reached out to my insurance company, and that's exactly what I did. Thankfully, I had comprehensive coverage, and that covers the damage caused by accidents, even if it involved my neighbor's antics, or his head. I gave my insurance provider a call, explained the situation, and provided them with all necessary details, including the footage from the Ring doorbell. They were impressed with the evidence and promptly guided me through the claims process. The insurer adjuster arranged for an inspection of the car, which was a relatively quick and painless process. Once the assessment was complete, they connected me with an authorized repair shop in the area. The shop had excellent reviews and was known for their quality workmanship. I dropped off my car at the repair shop and they estimated the repairs would take a few days. During this time, I was provided with a rental car to ensure I could still get around without any inconvenience. Kudos to my insurance company for covering the rental costs too. True to their reputation, the repair shop did an outstanding job. When I picked my car up, it looked as good as new. It had expertly repaired the dent, matching the paint perfectly. I couldn't have asked for a better outcome. I'm not sure what it is about neighbor drama that I absolutely love. Maybe it's my upbringing and the area that I used to be in, and it used to be going on all the time, or maybe I'm just a nosy bastard. Probably a bit of both, to be fair. Obviously, I don't like to see that people are going through trouble sometimes and having to deal with an absolute load of shit. But the actual stories themselves and the way that people paint them and the images I can see in my head just, oh man, sometimes. This guy just stumbling forward and then like a rhino into the side of that person's car. I mean, I hope he didn't get a concussion, of course, but wild. Do you have your own neighbor drama? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below as always. And just a huge thank you for joining me today, getting involved in the story as always. Really appreciate your time. It's absolutely amazing. So thank you so much. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.